Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Nuke coming at you. And this is going to be Friday morning's watch list, January 11th, 2019, the end of our second week in January. And it's been an interesting week. So, taking a look at this, we'll give the SPY a quick look real quick. And what we see out of the SPY here is every day it's been recovering a little bit. Yesterday was pretty interesting. It was slow but steady. So then it had this really nasty pullback, which made no sense. And it came back to halfway the pre-market high to low, and then it came back up to almost a 50% extension at the end of day. So it was just a little tough to read this area here, but the morning went really well, and it was very consistent. So I was pretty happy with it. Today, it looks like it's been selling off a little bit, down to the 50% pre-market high to low. We're going to have to wait and see if it's going to continue to the upside or if it's going to break this and plummet back to around the 256.25. But the key levels that I would keep in mind here are going to be 260.69 on the high side, 259.21 on the pre-market high, 257.86 on the pre-market mid-range, 256.25 on the pre-market lows, and 254.77 on the 50% extension to the downside. And you saw where that hit over here. All right, moving on, we're going to cover a couple of topics real quick. We're going to cover Netflix. Netflix had a decent day yesterday, even though it really didn't. It was about half of what the ATR normally is. It was easy to read. It continued on up through the night, and now it's starting to have a serious pullback. So we'll take a look at what that looks like on the daily chart. From the top down, we'll go all the way up to the 100. 345.61. Oops, I guess I need to pull this one down for you to see it. Yeah. 345.61-ish. 340-ish. 334.75-ish. The pre-market mid-range is going to be at 329.29, and then pre-market low is at 323.67. And then moving on to the downside, you're looking, this is going to be important for you at the 319.31. And then the 100% extension to the downside would be 312.97, call it 313. So watch out for that 313 level. All right, next up, Apple. Apple made people some money right out of the gate yesterday. And we'll see what it's been doing. We have a nice squeeze action here between, we're over the 9, under the 20. All of the longer term indicators on the daily say we should be in short territory, but in the shorter time frame, we are on top of the 9. So we're actually slightly rounding over on the bottom. So Apple had a good range of motion yesterday, continued through the night, and then about the open of today's session started dropping off. But it did have a couple of algo spikes. So what are we looking for out of Apple today? If it's an absolutely great day, maybe 156.25 on the high side, but I don't know. You got a lot of overhead resistance here with that 20 EMA, right? So, 156.5 would be pushing it. I would actually expect a little more consolidation today unless this thing just rips. The 50% extension, 155.37. Pre-market high is at 154.53. Mid-range is going to be 153.70. 153.70-ish. Pre-market low is at 152.85. 50% extensions at 152, and then the 100% extensions at 151.25, or 151.15-ish. So you might even see that bounce a little bit lower, 150.87. If this thing gets some gusto behind it, it might could rock and roll, guys and gals. So just watch for it. Let it pick a direction. Don't get in a rush. All of those are green so far. No, definitely red. Wow. Sorry, I'm looking at the bids. The last couple of bids have been higher. All right, BABA. Let's go into the BABA. BABA was choppy as hell yesterday until after midday. Then it picked a direction and it was a solid performer after that. Didn't have as much growth as the other ones after hours, and then it's kind of sold off, but it's been choppy. So I expect BABA might see quite a bit of chop today. And you got a lot of range to the 200, and we got a lot of support down here, but we're kind of still in this middle range where we really haven't picked a direction and ran with it. So be careful playing with BABA today. Important numbers for you. 153.48 on the high side. Pre-market high of 152.26. Pre-market low of 151. And a 100% extension to 149.75. But like I said, watch it. Now on to the smaller stocks. TLRY, it's done good the past couple of days, and last night it had this massive gap up, and you see it trying to come back down and close that gap. So overall, it had this big spike a couple of months ago, and then it's been a couple of little spikes, but it's been working its way back down. And I think we're going to see TLRY try and come back down to this 200. I think it's definitely in the mood to drop below the 20 and maybe bounce off of this 9 or even test that 200. We'll just see. What does that look like in terms of the fibs? Well, because of this gap up, they're not much use to you. So let's go 50 above, which is highly unlikely. Yeah, just not even. 111.58. Just don't see it. 101.21 is the current pre-market high. Currently the price is at 93.64. Mid-range line on that pre-market level is 90.59, and the pre-market low is at 80.79. 50% extension to the downside is going to be at 70. Yeah, just call it 70. And I can't see it getting more low than that, since that's where the 200 is. You never know. Like, it might gap up and try and settle in here above the 50, because it did get above the 20. It did get above the 9. Blew through the 20 cleanly, then rested on the 20, and now we've seen it gap up here. And maybe we'll see it settle down onto the 50. If that's the case, then the important number you're going to want to look out for is this 90.68. And that's going to put us right above it. So probably going to range in about $10 worth of motion. And the average true range is about 8. So, give or take up in there. That's actually more feasible to me looking at it now as the 90. Somewhere right around 90 and a half. Should settle in nicely. Of course, that will put us on the high side of the Bollinger Bands, but deal with it. Keep your eyes on it. It'll be okay. Next up, CGC, Canopy Growth Company. It's been doing really good. Solid performer lately. It had a great day yesterday. Then it didn't have as much pre-market action, but I don't mind that because it's been playing well. For a $40 stock, averages about $2.50 worth of movement per day. So we're at $37.98 on the high side of the morning to $36.33 on the low side. So if we went up $2 from there, $39.68 on the high side. If we went down low, $34.02. And then our 50% extensions are going to be the 35.40, 35.45, and 38.75-ish. So what does it look like on the daily? God, I should have highlighted that. It's had 2 huge green candles. It's definitely on the way up. I think we're due for a little consolidation today, but I do think we'll also see it definitely hold above the 50 and the 200. I just can't see it dropping back below that. So, I don't know. Keep your eyes on it. It's definitely on one of my more closely watched ones I'm going to be focusing on. AMD, my devil darling. Man, she moved around a lot yesterday without going anywhere. And you can see how we're sitting. oops, I guess I didn't need to do that. They're all out of whack, right? We've got the 200 and the 20 are dead on balls together. We're over the 9. Of course, we're over the 20, but the 200's down. You know, just nothing's really in order with this thing. So watch it for either direction. It is a Friday. How far would I expect to see this thing go? Probably not above 20.05 on the high side and not below 19.11 on the low side. Just a gut feeling. Appropriate numbers are going to be 1986 is our pre-market high, 1967 is our pre-market mid-range, 1948 is our pre-market low, and then 50% extensions at 1929. So, yeah, we'll have to see, but definitely going to keep my eyes on it. And then PCG is the last one that I'm really kind of looking at here, and that's just because Pacific Gas and Electric out in California has had so many bad things lately, right? They're not taking responsibility like they should. They've got a lot of lawsuits, class actions coming against them right now. You see this massive move down. Then they consolidated, they gapped down a little bit. They consolidated, then they gapped down. How the hell you gap down and still come up with a green candle, I don't know. But I see this thing continuing to plummet a little bit. And if we went back in time, right, a long ways, you see, we're going back 15 years and we haven't hit prices this low. So supposedly there were talks that PG&E is already having their lawyers talking bankruptcy and stuff. So that's huge, you know, when you're talking a company that size, and they're pretty much the premier power distribution for California. So do I see this going to zero? No, but I definitely think there's some more range to the downside. Probably $10 to $12 range is not to be unheard of in the next, month or two. So when will it get there? Don't know. But looking from here, the $12 range is only 200% extension from our pre-market low today. So keep your eyes on it. On the high side, 1965 is our 100%, 1871 is our 50%, 1775 is our pre-market high, 1590-ish is our pre-market low, 1492 is our, why is it not even showing? Oh, there we go. 1492-ish is our 50% extension to the downside, and 1398 is our 100% to the downside. So be careful with it. It's got a little more pre-market range on it today than it normally does. So give or take, but definitely worth keeping your eyes on. All right, that's what I got for you in under 14 minutes. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Leave us some feedback. Let me know what you think, especially if you're getting something out of this. Let me know what you do like and what you don't like. All right, guys, I'm outie, and I'll probably see y'all this afternoon for a weekly recap. And then Johnny Matrix and I are going to be making a couple of videos tonight, so stand by for that as well.